What is up, Team Happy and Fit? Thanks for joining us tonight on Tuesday. I love Tuesdays. I love being able to connect with you. I think team calls are important. I think they're important because for me, when I first started this, it was my check-in. It was my idea stream. It was just a way for me to really keep connecting to how big this could get. And it really took a lot of my mentors to paint that picture for me, because I honestly didn't join this to build a business. I joined because of the community. And honestly, I don't even, there's no tangible thing and reason. It's just more of, I felt like I should do it. And I had no knowledge about it. But when I started seeing my mentors share and paint this picture of how this could be the bridge to freedom, I started to realize that maybe I could do it too. And so actually, when I was going back and thinking back on how Eric was when I first came to him about this and our journey through it, it was amazing to go back and see my posts over all my content over the last 4.5 years. I've just showed up every day. And Eric's going to touch a little bit on that in a minute when he gets here. Hopefully it will be a minute. I'm going to share my screen and I am going to go ahead and start this fancy schmancy presentation that I made you. Again, the goal for this call is to not just support your spouse in their journey, but maybe it's support them in them building a business, or maybe it's you even getting started on your own self-care journey, and then seeing how you can support your spouse in that way, or even helping your spouse with the business. So a little bit of history on how we started. So I signed up in May 2014. And I didn't know anything. I thought Beachbody was you got fit on a beach. I literally didn't even know. I remember going to my original sponsor who's no longer doing this. And I said, it's like a pyramid scheme, right? Like, I literally did not care what most people worry about, because I was being drawn to something deeper than maybe this surface level thing. And she had told me, she's like, that's actually illegal. And for me, I think we just automatically assume things, but we don't actually know what we're talking about when we say that. And so I then was told in a training, because I was realizing, I do want to do this training that they were offering, and I finished it. There are a lot of coaches who start and don't finish things, whether it's a program, a training, whatever it is. And for me, I dove in. So I dove into this training and I started working on my own journey, and it said, I need to go Emerald. Emerald is the start. That is what starts and ignites your business. I didn't know what Emerald meant. It wasn't in my vocabulary for anything. I was a teacher. But all I knew was you need to become Emerald and you need to sign up your spouse. Interestingly enough, Eric and I weren't even married yet. We weren't even engaged. He was my boyfriend. And I just remember thinking, he's going to sign up. And so I signed him up in July 2014. So I signed him up a couple months later after I had gone through that training. So what the first year looked like for when I first was a coach in 2014 is that I went to live events alone. I was just kind of doing it myself. It was my thing. But Eric and I did work out together. And we had Shakeology together. He actually really liked Shakeology because he was taking supplements before that, really disgusting ones. And so he actually liked the way that it tasted. He liked the idea of it. The performance line wasn't a thing yet. And then when that came in, actually that is 100% his jam. And so the problem in our first year with me doing this was that I was on my phone a lot. So I don't know if any of you guys are experiencing that currently, but that was definitely something that we had to communicate through. And I'll talk to you a little bit about that in a little bit. And my average work business hours, because again, I first started with my journey. And then when I did that training was about an hour a day. And then I would catch up on weekends. But then I started to replace TV time with working this business. And so I, on average, was probably working 2 to 4 hours. That might have looked like I was getting up at 4:30 in the morning, and then I had to be at school by like 6:30. So I was getting up an hour to a half hour earlier. And then at night, I would work my business at night. I'm not a night owl, so I would still stay up a little bit later than usual. Our second year in this, 2015, Eric went to his first live event, and that was Summit in July. And he is going to talk a little bit about that. And I just remember thinking I need to get him to a live event, because I had gone to Super Saturday, but I hadn't met any of my mentors. I hadn't met any of the team outside of the coach that I signed up with. And I knew I had to get to Summit, but for some reason I was thinking Eric's got to get to Summit. So I did not buy a Summit ticket for Eric. He just came and he did all the things outside of the trainings, outside of the sessions. So he would go to dinner with us at night, or he couldn't even do the workouts actually because he didn't have a ticket. But I just needed him to be there. And then he went to his second live event, which was in Alpena, Michigan. And that was the Diamond Retreat. I had just gotten Diamond, and we drove 8 hours to Alpena, Michigan, and we stayed at Sarah Morrison's house. And this was the second time he was meeting these people that he had heard about and he knew I was Zooming with. He just got here. I'm so excited. Then the third year, 2016, yay, is I became a full-time coach. And we're going to talk about how Eric felt about that as we go on with this. And then in my third year, that is when I made Eric Emerald. So I had gone Diamond and beyond, and I started to work his business as well as my business. So that started 2 streams of income. And again, we'll talk about this in a second. And then he became a Diamond coach in 2017. Here's Eric. He's here.
Hey.
And then our 4th and 5th year, Eric left teaching, and this is what we've been doing. So it didn't start out like this, yes, this is going to be so big. It really started with Eric being like, this is a pyramid scheme and I don't want you to do it. It's true. So how I got Eric involved in this is that I hated working out. And so when I first started this, I needed accountability for workouts. And so we started working out together, and he was drinking Shakeology because he was ordering it. He actually ordered Greenberry for his first time and never drank it. So we had an unopened bag of green. We were dating. We weren't even He lived somewhere else. And I would listen to PD around him, but he wasn't into it. But I would just talk about what it was doing to transform my life. I was really transparent with him with goals of, hey, I want to go Emerald. This is what I need to do. This is why I need you to do it. I would talk about the vision of, I think that this could turn into something more. There's something in my soul, and I am learning from this woman named Trina and Sarah Morrison, and this is what they did with their paychecks. I would take other people's transformations and victories and relay that to him as far as the vision goes of what I could see happening with this. With calls, I jumped on calls, and back then, you guys, it was a lot different. Our sneak peeks, they weren't virtual. Facebook has changed a lot in the last 4.5 years. We used to have to dial in for the national wake-up call. We used to have to dial in. We would host sneak peeks over the phone, and it would be like conference calls. So it's so crazy to me because with calls and Zooms, you have more flexibility to mute yourself. And if you have to run and go help your family and do whatever, you can do that on Zooms. But with these business calls, you couldn't do that. You were literally glued to your phone. But I would just talk to him about what we talked about and on Zooms and takeaways that could help me with the business. And then I would talk to him about challengers, people that I was connecting with, people that were finding me inspiring. I would express what I needed and how he could best support me in that. I changed it from my business to our business. Even though he wasn't doing anything as far as social media goes or that, up front with stuff, I just started, instead of going, my business, and making it a me thing, I started to make it a we thing. And I noticed a shift in him when I started saying our business, that it was our vision. I remember I would tell him, the reason I'm jumping on these calls is for us. I know something big is going to happen now, and I don't know when and I don't know what, but I'm doing this for us. And this is why I'm spending so much time doing this. And painted the vision. This is what I see happening constantly. I talked about Success Club and what I needed and why it was important to me and who I had helped and what I was excited for, my next challenge groups. We would celebrate income progression. I specifically remember a time we were married then, and I remember he saw the bank account and he had saw the weekly paycheck that went into our bank account, and it had to have been probably like $500 or $600 that week. And I remember him just coming in being like, oh my gosh, like this is really getting bigger than what I thought. This is one of your biggest checks that you've ever gotten. And I just remember celebrating that with him. And I think that this is something that is super important for all of you to understand, is that we have to treat this like a business. And I jumped on calls. I finished the trainings. I implemented what I learned. I was reading the books. I made it a priority every single day. And this is the big one, is he saw that I was committed and serious. It wasn't just something, a facade that I was putting on social media or in my challenge groups or when I was on calls. He was seeing me actually walk the walk. He was seeing me do my power hours. He was seeing me listen to all this PD and what it was doing. He was seeing my mindset transform, that actually sparked curiosity to him to start listening to The Slight Edge, I think was your first personal development book. And I had read that. And the reason is I was like, Eric, you've got to listen to this, or I have to tell you something about what I had just learned. And another thing that I did on social media is I went back and saw these posts, is I praised him. Okay, there are a million reasons why I love Eric. For example, this weekend was filled with girls everywhere at our place, and we totally embraced it. Seeing him lead a men's group for all the husbands on our team has to be one of my favorites. It was a time Eric decided to get on a call with any husband on Team Happy and Fit. And I just walked into the office and just saw him doing that, just thinking, man, this is super cool for someone who told me not to do this to now look a couple years later and see what he's doing. This picture down here in the corner is the first time that he went to a Super Saturday, and it's one I was actually speaking at. And I just said, okay, truly, I wouldn't be where I am today if it weren't for the love and support of this guy. If you haven't had the chance to meet Eric, you are missing out. He's truly the most positive, calm, and wonderful man. We make a great team, and this business of ours is rocking because of his support. And so again, Eric wasn't a face of our business, but his support was enough for me. But I had to do my job by being serious about this. I was serious in real life just as much on Facebook, and he was so supportive in this journey for that. And I want to show you guys this. I found this video, and this is from the first summit that we went to together in 2015. Can you guys hear this?
Hi guys, my name's Eric. I'm Julianne's husband. Doing this video, I was asked, well, what about Beachbody? What has been a big life changer for you? And to be honest, like I wasn't a huge fan initially of Beachbody, and I thought, right when Julianne came to me with the idea of joining, I was like, no, like you can do something better with your money, whatever. But you know, being supportive, I said, hey, go and do it. Because like she was passionate about it, and I could see from all these other women, like she was like pointing all this other stuff out to me, like they're very passionate, they're very driven about what they want to do and how they want to change people's lives and being extremely positive about it. So coming in like a year later, now looking back on it, this was like probably the best decision I think we've made so far as a couple, as a husband and wife. Just with the little extra like financial freedom is awesome. It's great. You're gonna enjoy that little side of it. But then thinking about what you want from your marriage and what you want in life is just be surrounded by positivity and be happy. And what Beachbody does, I think, is like they lay a very good like positive framework into what they do. And this, I can see like these group of like, especially now, because it's like group of women that I've seen, like they're able to support each other, and they're just extremely encouraging. And that's what Beachbody does. It encourages you, it gets you motivated, it gets you positive, it gets your lifestyle in a direction that you want to see going in the future. So that's my only words of encouragement. give it a try. If not, no big deal.
I was so excited to see that because I remember you making that video, and I mean, it had been a year of us doing this, and just the fact that he was at a live event was so cool. I'm actually going to stop sharing the screen, and I am going to ask Eric a series of questions. We went over these a little bit. Thanks for all the love, you guys. I'm just reading that, and I just want him to answer these questions for all of you as we go. So Eric, welcome to our team call tonight. It's good to have you here. Glad that you made it. We were joking about it.
Oh, I'm excited.
Does everyone like his stash? Let's be real.
Yeah, that's like, I couldn't stop laughing because I was just looking at the camera. Okay, so a little backstory about the mustache, real quick. I promised Julianne I wouldn't say anything about it, but now I'm looking at it. I'm like,
it looks good.
This is pretty cool.
Steph asked me today. She sent me a message and she's like, "Do you like it?" I was like, "I'm indifferent. He really likes it, so I'll like it if he likes it."
My dad. Okay, my little backstory. My dad has had a mustache the entire time I've been alive.
My dad too.
And I've never seen him without it. And I was like,
yeah, I'm just being supportive.
I'll try it. And this is
okay.
Yeah,
I said right. We need to stay on track.
Okay.
So, Eric, what did you think? What did you think when I first talked to you about Beachbody?
Same thing in the video. I was like skeptical. I was like, this is a pyramid scheme. And mainly because like I had been asked before to do things, and like, you get that feeling of like just uncomfortableness, and then like it was something that I was like, don't do it, like, but I'll be a supportive husband. And I think like I'm so like in the video, I'm so glad she said yes.
Yeah, it's changed our lives for sure.
Because it has changed our lives.
Mm-hmm. What was your biggest struggle with me when I first started this business? Like, I had already said yes. So he didn't want me to do it, and I cried and I said, "I'm doing it." And he was like, "Okay." And then I did it. And then then how did you feel after I was jumping on calls and doing all that kind of stuff?
I saw that you were working hard, but then like I felt like I was being neglected initially. Like it was kind of frustrating, and I would say like it was hard for me to watch. And
because like, why do you think that it was so hard? Because I was so excited about something that you weren't a part of, or in what ways? What do you mean?
I think it's because I wasn't involved. But then again, like if you're a spouse on here, go ask questions. I realize that, and it's like you have to ask questions about something that's like super interesting to your spouse, whether like regardless if you like it or not. And
yeah.
Then like over time, it was just like seeing the same faces on Zooms, yep. And like you being constantly excited, and like me asking questions about like, oh, how's so and so doing? Mm-hmm. Which I still do a lot now.
Yeah,
like,
he does.
Most of you on here, I feel like I've always asked like, oh, like how are they doing?
Yeah. And I feel like I think after that, and he was upset that I'd be on my phone. And then we actually created designated hours of when we got done with work from 4 to 6, we would do our workout during that time. I didn't touch my phone. And then what we had realized is from 6 to 9 is, hey, I'm going to do this because I'm doing it for us. I was just really transparent with what I was doing and why I was doing it and why it was important to me. But then I also was just letting him know exactly what I was doing and making him feel a part of it. Next question is, what did you do to best support me in the beginning? So what is something that you feel like how you helped me in this journey?
I think initially at the beginning was just like working out with you.
Yeah, I needed it.
Yeah, I was already going to the gym a lot, and so it was just like natural for me to want to work out. And then I think just like us turning it into like an us time.
Yeah.
It made it so much more. And then like we started that, what was it, that fit club at St. Marcus, and then it became more. And it was
we literally built our business off of doing fit clubs. Cody, I remember you went. It was on a Sunday. Yeah, we remember. And I remember thinking, if we're going to work out, we might as well see if people would want to do it with us. And when I was going through all my pictures today, there were so many pictures of me working out in the classroom with you and just a group of people, Liz Colmore, and that's like how we met Bax and her through that journey, which is so crazy. So yes, Eric supported me in the sense of working out with me and not making fun of this. He didn't put it down when we were around other people. You would just be, oh yeah, like excited for me. You didn't talk badly about it. You weren't skeptical about it to other people. And I feel like that gave me so much confidence that you had my back in it, even if you didn't understand. He didn't know what Emerald was. He didn't know what any of it was. But I think that was so important to me, that you just trusted me. Like you had confidence and trust in me that I had our best interest. And so when other people were around, he talked highly of this, which really helped me. When did you start to take me seriously as someone building a legit business?
I want to say it probably wasn't until even a year later after doing it.
Yeah, because it's kind of like a hobby, right? Where I'm making some money. We weren't sharing a bank account at the time, so there was only so much that you knew.
Yeah, and I would say it was it was nice to see the little piece of extra income. That's what it's funny, because I mentioned that sorry, it makes it extra nice. Yeah. But I mentioned that in that video where I was liking that little there's little extra money coming in every week, and she's working this business so hard, and it was incrementally going up. But I never fully understood it until after that summit, after we made that video, and after we went on our honeymoon, where it was just whoa.
Oh yeah, talk a little bit about that. So we went to Summit. We planned our entire honeymoon around Summit. I remember Eric's dad talking to us hey, do you want to go in July? And I was like, I can't, I have Summit. I was willing to not do anything because Summit meant so much to me. That's how serious I took this. I knew, it's kind of like the Dave Ramsey stuff. My mom was talking to me about that today. You literally do this, and this, and then you'll have this more freedom, right? That's how I've always treated this business, is this is so important that I go. And I was I have to go to Summit. There's no way I'm missing it. And it's hard for me to identify with people who don't take that. I just think my mindset with what I wanted this to be was so different. And so we planned our honeymoon around that. And then from Nashville, we were in the Nashville airport, flew to Rome, and we were in Europe, Mediterranean for 2 weeks. And what did you see me being on vacation, had just come back from Summit, working my business? What did that look like?
I think just 100% committed. Because at that point I was just are we gonna have time? I think just on vacation, you're you think about I was are we just gonna relax? But you're no, we I got a business I got to show up for. And that's when I was
we paid for the internet.
Yeah, we paid for the internet for all the days that we were on the ship.
$250. We got there. I was I have to get internet, and we were off the ship maybe 9 hours of the day. But we paid $250 for internet because I was I've got to have internet, because I would jump on calls at 4 a.m. and I would work my business when Eric was sleeping. He would wake up, we'd work out, we'd leave the ship, we'd come back, we'd have dinner, and I'd work my business again. And I had one of the best months.
Yeah, that was
Inside note,
yeah.
I retired myself at 26 that December. This was in August. So something clicked in my head, and that's what I did.
I think that was the decision moment for you to go extra. Yeah,
for sure. What was it like being at your first live event?
In the video, I didn't know what to really expect. I was just oh, it's a beach body thing. and we had a couple other people that went with us. And I didn't really know much more about it, but then like just finally meeting the people that who she was talking to
were real.
Yeah, that they were real. It wasn't just imaginary bucks, but yeah, meeting those people, and it was like just a sense of family that I got right away. Too was like inclusiveness. Like no one was really like stuck up or like I'm better than you. It was just like friendship, and like I would say specifically on our team and the people that I met. But.
Yep. What has this lifestyle done for you? You work out, you drink Shakeology, you do a lot of personal development, you listen to a lot of calls, you hop on calls sometimes. So what has this done for you? I know that I originally did this for me in the beginning, and he wasn't on board. He was with workouts and shakes, but not with personal development. And slowly but surely that started to become a part of your life. Like, what has that done for you? Like, what has this lifestyle done?
I think just like fully living your best self, or I've had it put it to me this way by one author, like you fully get to be alive. And I just like, I think I don't know, like before Beachbody, it's hard for me to understand understand how life was without Beachbody, but like before Beachbody, I know, sorry, I keep tapping the table. But before Beachbody, like I think, or if Beachbody didn't come into my life, like I would still probably be doing a lot of the same habits and the same things that I was doing before to try to like get out of certain situations in my own life. I mean, I was working out, but just working out in shakes and like building that consistency in was great. But I think for me, what really hit it off was like the personal development piece.
Yeah, you had to address,
sharing that with me.
You had to address limiting beliefs, paradigms, insecurities. It really has improved our communication. And I remember I went to Rise with Rachel Hollis, and she put it well. When she went to Tony Robbins and did all this personal growth, and her husband was not on board, making fun of her, like sighing, not supportive, all these things, and kind of like chipping away at her, right? And she said to him, she looked over and she said, Dave, do you think that we will be this close a year from now if we continue to do what we're doing now? And he said that was his wake-up call. And I feel like with Beachbody, what tends to happen with personal development when you're really doing it and you're really on this, you're growing, you start to see a separation of the world that's not growing. Has anyone experienced that? You see like limiting thinking, you see whatever. And the one person that had to grow with me had to be Eric. And I did not want to drag him and pull him along. So I think in my thinking is I'm going to show up so hard for myself and just show what this is doing for me. And something that you had told me today, you said you were living it. The way your mindset was, the way I was pouring into you, like when you were struggling, the way that I was thinking, feeling, doing all these things, he was seeing that I was transforming. And I just remember thinking like, I can't force him to do this, but if I can be my absolute best challenger, right? The person I work on the hardest, I can't help but think that would have an influence on him, especially when I'm encouraging him and helping him and loving on him and building him up, that you do become the people that you surround yourself with. And I feel like for you, me just talking to you would change your mindset. And you really just started. I remember he picked up his first book and I was like, oh my gosh. Or like he listened to a podcast and I was like, oh, you try to play it cool. Like you're like in your head though, you're like, oh my gosh, it was the best. Explain how you overcame judgmental people or insecurities about Beachbody, because Beachbody, it being an MLM, or people say one of his best friends in Orange County was like, I remember we were sitting there and in person, these people do this in person to us. Like, oh, that's a scam, like all this stuff. And how did you overcome that? Because I think for men, they don't like, they're just upfront about things, but they there's like no emotion attached to it, but like if they have no problem like making fun of it, I think, or whatever. But how do you like deal with that? Or were you afraid of what people would say that we were doing Beachbody?
I think like for me, like as a husband, I'm gonna support whatever my wife does 100%. And I think to like go to the point, I never felt, I would say, insecure, inadequate about the like being like verbally attacked or like questioned about Beachbody, because I think it's just like the belief that you had built up, and so like that strengthened me a lot. And I never really questioned that. So I think it's just like about.
How'd you deal with like really close friends making fun of this though? Because that's real. Or do you feel like that was more at me than at you? Because that definitely happened.
I think for me, like for a guy, it's like I'm gonna be logical. They don't see it they're
not seeing you post online.
Yeah. So it's like logical, right? And like they're trying to figure everything out, and I'm just speaking from my point of view and the way I see it. So like logical, and it's hard for us to believe something, and when it's like starting out. Sorry, I keep tapping the table. But like it's hard for us to believe something when it's like first starting out, and then as you grow, as you continue to like do those habits, do those things that like you're asked to do, you have more strength and more confidence with what you're doing. So like for me, it was just like I see their concern, but I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep gonna keep believing in this.
Yeah, I think that's a real thing. I think that people don't know, but I think at the end of the day, like someone else's opinion doesn't pay your bills, but I think it all comes back to us. Like if a spouse isn't supportive, I feel like that means that maybe the person isn't taking their business seriously or being transparent with the vision and transparent with the why and talking about the people who are transforming and how it's filling up your cup, right? And I think for me, it always came back to, well, he's seeing me take this seriously, and I show up to business meetings. He saw me on vacation. I never made excuses for it. And that makes sense that built your confidence with this. This is so unconventional. It's so unconventional with how it is. What do you love most about Beachbody?
Well, I feel like this is like sentimental because I'm staring at it right now. All of you.
Yeah, the people.
I was thinking about this today, and when she asked me this question, I was like, you know what? It's probably because I can go to probably each and every single one of your houses and feel really comfortable and like
look at all the nods.
Yeah, feel at home and like feel like this is more than just like we're selling shakes and we're doing workouts.
Yeah, so much more.
Yeah, so like I think for me, just like going from that first summit all the way to now, it's a lot. Like it's changed so much.
You've placed yourself in positions though. This is something that I need to give him a build up for. So he allowed me to do my thing. I did my thing. He started doing it for himself. He started seeing that. But he has actively placed himself in live events. He has actively gone to dinners. He has been a part of things, and that has been his choice. And so there hasn't been this huge disconnect from this being my business and then you do you, Julianne, or whatever. He has completely came into this world by his choice, and that built his belief so much. And that's on him. And I think that is one of the greatest ways that you could have ever been supportive in this, because you realize that these are real people. I love it when people tell me that they like met their person on online dating app and they're like nervous to tell me. I'm like, all my best friends I met online. Like, it's not weird to me. Like, this is like what I do. Like, I'm totally getting it. But I think and I know there's circumstance, he didn't go to Summit this last year. He can't make it to everything, but you have actively, whether it's been with Liz and Bax or Morgan and Sean, like you have placed yourself with these people and you've built friendships, and I didn't force that. You did that on your own. And the fact that he is genuinely saying that this is his favorite part, it doesn't just happen. Just as much as if you on this call, whether you're a spouse or someone you're actively working this business, if you haven't been to that live event, there's a disconnect. Zooms are great, but when you meet people in person, the only weird thing is how tall or how short they are, because you don't see that online. And then you get over it, and then you're like, these people are freaking awesome. And it is so awesome to surround yourself with people who care about people, who care about their health, who want to make a difference, who want to dream big, that don't want to live mediocre, that want to overcome excuses, face their hard. Like that is something we want to be a part of, because you can be a part of groups that just don't care and they stop, and all they look forward to in life is watching reality TV and being obsessed with insecure people. But this journey literally is about people who massively want to transform their households and help transform and give that gift to someone else. What tips do you have for a spouse on this call? And you tip?
I think the biggest one is just be open and support. I think if I was like super against it and never really was willing to like be open and support her and what she was doing, that this would have never grew to what it has been, and like it just would have ultimately been like a wedge between us, because I wouldn't have like embraced the fact that it is our business, whether I'm doing like all the upfront stuff or like just cooking dinner for us. Like it was, I mean, it's something that it looked different for everyone. Yeah. And like you guys have all taken the leap on here, and said yes to this. And I can't help but think that most of you have have some great spouses that support you. And if you're not married yet, you have a best friend that you're doing it with.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. I think this is something to be so conscientious of, is that we're all at the top of our own businesses. You are at the top of your own business, and it is up to you on what you do with it. I was placed on a dead leg. All of you on here, for the most part, have been placed where you can get help in the sense of building a leg, but you will not make money if you don't actively. Wyatt is like all up in our secret. It's like he's deprived. No one loves him. He doesn't get any attention. He doesn't even get fed around here. Goodness gracious, dog. Anyway, but that's what I love so much about this business, is that it honestly is entirely up to you. And I think where that starts is just taking full responsibility and doing something about that. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again, and we're going to go ahead and move on to what this looks like. This picture right here is Eric's second summit, and this picture just seriously melts my heart. This is a picture of what I see as family, and this wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for this opportunity and choosing to have live events and going to them. Something special is Morgan and Sean flew to Northern California a couple of years ago and spent the time with us. Liz has came to Northern California and spent time with me. These people are part of our family. We've been to Erica's old house and played Catan and just hung out, and it just means so much to us. So getting spousal support. So this is if your spouse is not on board. So creating balance with your phone and computer. I think that is one of the largest challenges that coaches initially have. And I think this is why it's really important to create business hours and stick to them, and have your spouse help you stay accountable to that. So for me, we were getting up earlier, and then from 4 to 6, that was our time. And I even said, can this be our time? And then from 6 to 9 or whatever, I want to work this business because of for us. And he was like, deal, I can do my thing during the time you're doing your thing, right? So making time for your spouse and making time for your family, but we need to make time for this business. Something that I see in this business is that you are overcompensating, and so you're spending all time with family and all time with spouse, and then your business is suffering. So there has to be a dance with that, and I really do think you can build this business with efficiency, and really being 2 feet in to do that. And then showing results from challengers, their weight loss, their confidence, their messages. I remember I'd be like, look at this message that I got today. Someone said I was inspiring. Or, you know, I remember one of my first challengers, Miriam, who's the coach, she lost 30 pounds. I remember making a graphic and showing that to Eric and just showing him who I was talking to. Because if you're on your phone and on your computer, they don't see the faces and names of people that we're helping. And so it's really important that you bring that to life to them. Or, you know, I'm going to work my business today because my goal is to help 3 people. And I really want to help them lose 10 pounds. I really want to help them with their confidence. Like, that's what you tell them, right? Money earned. And if you haven't earned money, that, you guys, I was not making any money in the beginning. And I would just share money earned from coaches that were mentoring me. I was sharing success stories that I was seeing and being transparent with that. And then I was explaining, well, I didn't really understand the compensation plan. It's something that's taken me a long time to figure out. But you can do that. Paying bills. I remember we paid for our couch. That was like the first big purchase with Beachbody that we had. A year and a half later, we paid off our couch in full. And I remember just being so proud. I remember being in California and I got a $256 check in 1 week. And I was getting like $50 checks or like whatever, but I remember $256. And I was like, what in the actual heck is happening right now? And I would tell Eric about that. You could use your money to help with vacations, maybe a family purchase like our couch. And then, or maybe if you make $50, you choose to spend that on a date night with your spouse. How special is that? Is that from your business, right? That you are able to treat your spouse with that. Get them using the products. This is what Eric did in the very beginning. Shakeology, well, not Greenberry. I love Greenberry. He does not. I love Greenberry. Yeah. And so he drinks Shakeology every day. He loves Recover. If you ask him, he just got hooked on Recharge. And we're doing that Hydrate Challenge. So we're obsessed with that. We're obsessed with Energize. Supplements such as the greens, digestive boost, right? The bars, whatever it is. And then programs. There's awesome programs that men can have that they like. His favorite is probably Insanity Max 30.
Yeah,
Shift Shop.
Max 30. I like Shift Shop. I think we addressed this. We're like, we got burnt out on Shift Shop.
Yeah,
we did it like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And then now it's like, I like it. I can go back to it.
Yeah, I try. We usually work out together, but there was some periods of time that we didn't, but we like to. That's our time. But there's a lot of people on here that don't. What works for us may not work for you, right? So you guys just have to figure out what that looks like for you guys. And I mean, if I have any tip, if your spouse doesn't work out, just make sure you are showing up for yourself every day, and then you can always put the invite out there. I would love for you to do this with me. I would love for you to. Does anyone have any stories like that your spouse was not working out or doing any of that and you were, and then they started doing that? If you could put that in the comments, that'd be helpful. Once you have their support, this is what you can do next, is find out if they want to learn about the business, right? And so this doesn't mean they will want to run their own business, okay? This means with you and what you're doing. You should sign them up early as a coach. I am 100% behind this. And the reason being is Eric is at the top of our business center sorry, hold on one second. I am trying to find you guys and I don't know where you went. Oh, there you go. He is at the top of our business center, and because I signed him up so early, he has about, I don't know, on your strong leg, you probably have about 400 coaches in your strong leg. And so he has generated an insane strong leg. And so now all I have to do is focus on his weak leg. And he is, not only is my business center making money, his business center is making money. And so I signed him up to go Emerald and had no idea how beneficial that would be as far as income would go. And I would say if you are working this business and you are serious about it, that is hands down the best advice that I got when I first started, and I didn't understand. And now I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, like someone else could have had that spot, but he has it. So it's amazing. Support can mean you're giving more time to work the business hours. So they can take the kids for a couple hours. Eric does this, cooking dinner. We didn't do that in the beginning because there's just a lot going on. Yeah. And then when this business started becoming something so much more, I needed more time to give to it.
And I love cooking.
And he loves cooking and doesn't like it when I do it anyway. And so, but him doing that and cleaning up the house or whatever he always says, allows me to be creative and to just continue to be innovative and help this business. If they want to learn more about the business, start with the compensation plan. It kills me when people don't support this, because if they understood the compensation plan, they wouldn't doubt it. The compensation plan is unlike anything I've ever seen. You literally can keep outdoing yourself and outdoing yourself, giving yourselves 350% raises. I've done it. It is unreal the amount of income you can generate. And you understanding that compensation plan grows belief for sure. So how in the world do you make money in this? Like explaining that to them. And if you don't know that answer, you are running a business. Make it your goal to learn that. This is your business, right? What is PV, personal volume? What is strong leg versus weak leg? What is Success Club, and why is it important? This is something that we talk about, not something that in the beginning was I didn't understand it, but now that's something that I do. This is actually my favorite part of the business, so I like to do it. But he does other things, and I'll talk about that in a second. But there's a compensation plan in the back office document that you can check out. Once you have the support, again, how to earn rank advancements. Tell your spouse that your next goal is diamond. Tell them what you need and tell them what that looks like. Why earning rank can make you money. It doesn't guarantee money, right? And I love that you can outrank and out-earn anyone at any time. You can outrank and out-earn yourself. Like there's no cap, there's no limit to this. And so for me, for going from a $14 cycle as an emerald, going to an $18 cycle as a diamond increased our income by a lot. And then to have his business center go diamond and then have our third business center go diamond, we were generating a lot more income because of this rank. And then talking about the team cycle bonus, and that is residual income. This business is built in two ways, right? It's built with team cycle bonuses, residual income, right? You don't make money off of anyone. Everyone purchases through Beachbody. Beachbody has set up a compensation plan that pays you out. It's awesome. I don't take any part of anyone's checks. Beachbody pays us all, right? And in that way. Or retail. But retail can go up and down. The residual income that will cause your heart to be more confident in this is team cycle bonuses. That's essentially making money overnight. And that's not one you see in the beginning. You see in the beginning, you see the retail. And for me, I saw the vision, build a team, build a team, build a team, build a team, build a team. And now I'm like, holy buckets. Like, I'm so glad that that was my vision. I didn't understand it and I just did it. So again, there's compensation plans in the back office. Here's a document. I can share it in the team page. The back office, use the videos and documents to learn. Show your spouse how to use the back office, how to log in, how to see everything, the sponsorship drill down, right? And this is something that I'm heavily a fan of, is bring your spouse to a live event, whether it's dinner, whether it's going to Summit, Super Saturday, a retreat, or even getting on Zooms. Eric, you've really been getting on Zooms a lot lately, and I've been really loving that. So how a spouse can support you is they can totally run their own business if they want to. You can have them run it and help them grow, start their own group, etc. narrow down audience and let people know what you're doing. Social media, if that's something that you want to do. Not a lot of spouses do that, but there are a lot of guys the guys that are in this business that choose to be 2 feet in are insanely successful. Women like the accolades and like whatever. Actually, the men in this business, like Scotty Hobbs, oh gosh, I like names are Spencer. What's his name?
I forget his last name.
There's all these guys that are like,
his last name.
They make like over $750,000 a year.
Jamie Fitzpatrick.
And yeah, Jamie Fitzpatrick, they understand the compensation plan and they post on social media. They do all that stuff. Isn't that crazy? $750,000 a year. It's nuts. Behind the scenes stuff, you can create documents, take care of expenses and taxes. Eric is huge on this. Like that is something that I have no interest in doing. Work on and create websites. He's done that. Track coaches and rank advancements. They can look back in your back office, see who is active and inactive. Tracking elite points. Share events on social media. You share a lot of my content on social media. Talking about products and business. He would take his shaker cup wherever he went. He just was proud of it and would talk about it. He would talk about the business and he'd be like, oh, I got some contact info for you. And that was amazing. Personal support, giving you time to work the business. That is probably the greatest ever. And taking care of the little things so you can have more time to work. And then they can check Sunday to Tuesday every week, the sponsorship drill down, check active coaches. Coaches to Emerald need 50 PV. You guys may or may not know this. Diamonds, 100 PV, Star Diamond, 200. That's something that they can look through in your back office for you. I personally love doing that. Check rank in the rank of coaches. And that is what we have for you today. And I would love, we have a couple minutes. Josh Spencer, yes. These guys are so powerful. The guys that choose to run this business, because it's it's so saturated with women. And the men who choose to do it have found a need, and it's awesome. And I think that's what I love too, is there's no limit to this. People get the scarcity mindset, and that's why personal development is so important, that you guys, we can all be millionaires in this. Like we can all ... whatever your goal with this is, there's no limitation to it. And sometimes with our thinking that there is, but everything that I've seen, and I just remember Sarah Morrison being like, there's no difference between you and me. And she would pay her mortgage in one paycheck. She could pay 3 months out at the time. And I remember she's like, oh, and I'm like, okay, I trust you. And now I'm like, she wasn't kidding. She's not kidding. That there's no favorites in this. It's literally whoever chooses to work for it, they earn it. And so it's not about getting in early. It's not about like whatever these people tell you. It's legitimately based on your own work skill and diligence and taking it seriously. All right. We would love to take in Miguel. Yes. Jamie. Yeah. Nikki, I love that you're sharing all this. And Maddie. We would love to take questions that you guys have. Thanks for hopping on. I love seeing the spouses on here. I know some of you are going to be taking the recording. What would you recommend for a podcast to start with?
I think for just like any one, I would say more like probably quote of the day.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, it's not like what's the mother effing CEO.
Oh, I love that one. He hates it.
He
hates it. There's too many F words in there. I love it. That's like my style.
But I mean, I feel like that one has a good like taster of everything, and so many voices that can like get exposed to people.
Yeah, you're a kind-hearted soul.
So
yeah,
I would say definitely quote of the day show.
Has Eric ever been like, I support you, but this is your thing? If so, what changed that perspective for you?
I think can I answer this one?
Yeah.
I think I've said that in my mind.
Yeah,
I have said that in my mind. I have never said it out loud.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever.
I think we've talked about it before. I think it's because when I'm feeling a certain way about my life, then I'm doing the comparison thing of like, oh, I'm not doing enough for us. I'm not doing enough for us. Like that's the broken record that gets put in.
everyone's saying that this is what it's like for them.
I think it's like that's what gets being set in your head, set in the like my head as a spouse, and knowing that like, oh, I don't feel a part of it. And I think that's
live events. They need to
Yeah.
get to a live event. I think Summit, there's any piece of advice that I could give you. He went to Summit, didn't have a ticket. He just was hanging out for the ride. He went to Summit and he's like, these people are real. You hung out with Chris Morrison. You hung out with all those guys and you guys were taking shots of tequila. We were dancing in the 90s bar. That was the next year. And they became friends.
Yeah. I would agree with that. It is definitely the live events. Like otherwise it's like
it's so much more real.
Yeah, and
it's legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan, do you feel the same?
No, okay. Speaking to more about that too is like guys, we're like, I think that I'm like speaking for all the guys on here. You can totally like shoot me down.
Shoot him down.
But I think like guys are like more like physical and in person.
Yeah.
And it's like we get a better sense, like we get a better sense, and we can look at somebody, and know like if you're BSing us or not.
Yeah.
You
would, but
like, or you can tell what type, the kind of person that.
Yeah. So Eric talks about the business all the time, and so I'm probably the most active recruiter, but you do, and I think he's just straight up. He's just saying, "Hey, I'm doing this." Like, there's no BS. Like, it's just like, this is what I'm doing. This is how much it costs. You should do it with me. And it was with friends.
Well, and I think also too is like paying attention to what they love. Like maybe ask them like what do you love about it? And like for me, it's like I still love working out. I still love.
No, we're talking about recruiting, getting people in. Yeah.
My bad.
You're okay.
The mustache.
Any other questions? Did you guys find this beneficial and helpful? So there's getting your spouse on board, and then like what that looks like, and then what they can do. And I think it's just asking of like, what would you want to do about this? But my biggest piece of advice is you have to be 2 feet in. You have to take this seriously. I would change your language to my to our, and then just be super transparent with why you're on these calls, why they matter, and then they need to meet the people, and then it's more real, if that makes sense. He's great. I love that. Is there any spouses on here that would like to chat? Erica, I can't see some of you, but some of you that have supportive spouses, we would love to hear from you real fast. I know we're a little bit overboard, but if you can stay on, Ben fell asleep. Any tips that you have? If you don't feel like, I'm the face of this business. He's 100% behind the scenes, but it's still our business. So it's not my thing, it's our thing. Was anyone gonna chat?
I heard her click.
Me too.
I hear a reverberation of my voice now. That means someone wanted to ask a question. No?
Did anyone want to share? Okay.